Hello and welcome. Right, what have I got today? What have I got today? Here we go. I have been thinking about and now filled my 6 colours in my Peg and All palette that I recently bought, and it was in the latest art haul that I videoed. And as some of you know, I've been doing some colour wheels. So let me just grab, here we go, and keeping them in this box here. So here we go. You can see that's an example of one. I'm keeping them in paint make order, if you like. So we've got different. So these ones are Michael Harding, for example, and then I think these ones are Daniel Smith. And I'm just keeping a track of colour palettes that I like to use in this lovely big box. I will put a link to that in case anyone else is thinking, yes, I want that. I also did a course. Now let me check who that course was with. Oh, didn't I? Yeah, I bought one of her books. Here it is. Her name is Anna Victoria Calderon, and it's a Domestica course. And on that course, we did some colour wheels. So this would be your kind of classic colour wheel, and then this would be more of a modern colour wheel where you get more of your pinks and purples, rather than using the classic sort of red, blue and yellow. It's more your cyan, yellow and magenta. That's right. Obviously I used my own colours for that. So much like a printer, the modern colour wheel can use the 3 colours like a printer does. But from that, I started to do some more testing of different colour wheels using these three colours. So I used indigo, buff titanium and quinacridone bronze for this one. And rather than just the 3 circles, it gives me a much bigger flow of colours between the 3 colours, if you like. And then I could pick out some colours that would perhaps be accents, or colours that you just use a little bit of it and make your painting pop, but the rest of it is kind of these colours. So I had a lot of fun doing all of that with her. And also one of the exercises was to look at making colour palettes in this way. So maybe picking a neutral, these are all a kind of a neutral colour palette. But you could have a cool colour palette or a warm colour palette. And I will be doing a video a bit more on these cool, warm and neutral colour palettes too, because I think they are good fun. But for now, I'm just going to do some testing of the colours that I've put into my new Peg and All. I will tell you what the colours are to start off with. So the only one that I've picked from the Aliona Creates palette that I've got is her Chartreuse, which she absolutely loves. And that has got PY3 and PG7 in. So that's one of my colours in the palette, which can go from almost like a pale yellow to a bright green, which was why I picked it. I also picked out, the rest are all Michael Harding. Michael Harding's Lavender, which is PW6, PV15 and PB29. Indigo, which is, what is indigo? PB6, PB15.3 and PV19. We have got cobalt blue, which is PG, oh, what does that say, 50? Just where I've had to scrunch this up to get the most out of it. Yeah, PG 50. We've got buff titanium, or Michael Harding calls it titanium buff, which is PW 6.1. And the final 6th colour is burnt sienna, and it's PR 101. So those are the colours that I have chosen, my 6 colours, which I have put on a swatch sheet here and laminated it. So what I want to do is make a colour wheel and come up with some colour mixes that might not, you know, with the other colours. So for those of you that want to know how I managed to draw this, I've got this little colour wheel here, and I literally just drew around it, marked the segments, and then made the segments like so. So that's how I did that. I have got a little Meaden palette here that I'm going to do my mixing in. Let me move my ruler out of the way now. We'll keep the pencil out in case we need it. We need to bring in some water, and obviously we need a paintbrush. What should we use? This is a size 6 round. This one is a Craftmo. It's the Emma Jane Lefebvre set. So that's what I will use. And there we go. We've got a cloth at the ready as well. So I'm going to start by painting my chartreuse in its little square. But I might use them from the tube to do this. So I've got some workmen outside putting like telegraph poles up for fibre broadband, and they seem to have quite loud voices. So I'm hoping that that won't show or come through too much. Yes, I think what I will do is I will put some, oh, there we go. Gosh, they are. Being quite noisy. So let's get some of the chartreuse in there. And first of all, we can, where's my indigo? Indigo. We also need some indigo. So we'll get some indigo in there. So instead of red, blue and yellow, I am using chartreuse, indigo and burnt sienna as my colour wheel. There we go. Okay, so we've got our 3 colours in our palette now. So I'm going to start with mixing the chartreuse, and we'll put quite a bit of the chartreuse in there. And all we want is a little bit of the indigo, which is quite a strong colour. So we'll, gosh, maybe too much there. We'll see. So let's get our next colour in. There. Then we're going to add a bit more of the indigo. This is making some beautiful greens. I'm hoping that this is going to be a good colour wheel. I have no idea. So, you know, I might look at this and go, oh, what a big mistake. We will see. And now a bit more of the indigo. Wow. Very nice indeed. Lovely. Okay, let's move this around a little bit. Next, we just want indigo on its own to start off with. But because we're going to be doing mixes, this is quite a strong colour anyway. Right, indigo. My head getting in the way again. I need to come up with a new system, I think. There we go. There's our indigo. And now we need to start adding the burnt sienna to it little bit by little bit. So let's start with that. Oh, that is a gorgeous colour. There we go. And a bit more of our burnt sienna. Not sure if that's going to be enough. Go for a bit more. Is there going to be enough difference? Bit more. Okay. And then finally quite a bit more. Which gives us this really, I'm painting at a kind of an angle here so as my head doesn't get in the way. Let's move it up. That is a gorgeous colour. There we go. Now we want burnt sienna on its own. Will I have room in this corner? Let's hope so. So I'm just going to, for ease of painting, I'm going to turn this round a bit. Let's get our burnt sienna in. Now we need to add a little bit of chartreuse to it. Maybe not enough. It's kind of bled in a bit, but it'll be fine. Okay, and a bit more of our chartreuse. Moving on round. There we go. And then even more of our chartreuse. Wow. So let me get this up the right way and bring it up. Look at that gorgeous colour wheel with our 3 colours there. Now, what we can also do is, where are my other 3 colours? And there we go. So we've got lilac, cobalt blue, and buff titanium. Now, obviously, just initially, I think what I will do is, let's just take a little bit of the lavender and stick that going around the outside. And I think we can then see that that lavender is going to look okay with everything. I don't think I need to test out buff titanium because I'm pretty sure that that's going to go with everything. But let's just take a little bit of cobalt blue and do that around the edge. Whoops, I went in the wrong one. Never mind. So it kind of gives us an idea of what each of those colours looks like with the other 2 that are in the palette, and obviously everything's going to go okay with buff titanium, so we don't really need to kind of try that out really. But I think what I will also do very tempted to do another colour wheel with these 3 paints. First of all, though, let's just take a little bit of our cobalt blue. I can get some out. There we go. Don't need masses. A little bit of that. Ooh, come on out. Lavender. And a little bit of the titanium buff, or buff titanium. And I'm going to do some mixing with the colours that are in here. So let's just try our buff titanium. Ooh. And I think we'll just do these as circles. So I'm mixing it with the final colour, basically. And I'm gonna, I won't bother putting it in there. Let's just mix with a bit of final colour on there. Oh, get rid of that. And then we need to take a bit and mix it in. Oh, so there we go. So that is buff titanium mixed with this final colour, this final colour, and this final colour. So now let's take a bit of the cobalt blue and we'll mix that in with a bit of that green. Whoa, very nice. Take a little bit of the cobalt blue. I can grab a little bit in the corner there. Oh, that's quite an unnatural colour, but we'll put it down. There we go. That was a fly buzzing past me. And then we'll take a little bit of cobalt blue with that brown. Not bad. And finally, we'll take a bit of our lavender. With each of them. See if we can find a bit. There we go. We might need a bit more of our lavender in that there. And then our lavender, what are we left with out in our brown. So obviously we're working towards neutralizing things a little bit here, aren't we? But there we go. We've got more colours there. And I think what I will do next is clean this off, and I'm going to do a colour wheel like this, but with the buff titanium, the lavender and the cobalt blue, just out of interest to see what happens. So I'm going to come back in 2 ticks for you, but I'm going to have to draw it all out, but I will be back in a second. Okay then, so I have now drawn out another circle, ready with the cobalt teal, the lavender and the buff titanium, and we're going to use those in exactly the same way as we did before. So let's just start with our cobalt teal and make sure we've got plenty of that in this corner, and we will pop our cobalt teal in this segment. Oh, do you know, I absolutely adore doing this kind of thing, because and plus it also helps you to understand your paints and the palette that you're working with better. Right, so we've got lavender here, so I need to keep adding a little bit of lavender to this. So let's start with a little bit there. That is such a pretty colour. So on the other palette we had quite a few sort of greens, browns, dark greens, going into even sort of grey browns, I suppose. Now let's add a little bit more lavender. And a bit more lavender. I'm loving these blues. They are looking very pretty. Right, and then we have lavender on its own. So let's get the lavender in this corner. There we have our lavender. And now we want to start adding buff titanium to it. So we'll start with a little bit of buff titanium. And as I thought, this is going into quite a grey colour. There we go. Let's add a bit more buff titanium. Is that enough, or do we want a bit more? I don't know. Let's take a bit more. I mean, this is giving me gorgeous silvery pale grey. Like so. And then finally even more buff titanium. And now we're moving to more of a warm grey. There. And then we want buff titanium on its own. So, well, let's just fill that one in. Which is even warmer. So there we have our buff titanium on its own. And maybe we'll pop that in this corner then. Because we want to keep adding to our buff titanium with our cobalt teal. So let's take a little bit of cobalt teal. Oh, what a gorgeous pale green. Oh, it's almost like a duck egg kind of colour. We'll add a bit more. And then finally, even more. Trying not to get them to touch. Right, there we are. Wow. Well, before I do some more mixing with those, let me bring that up for you to see. I think that is rather lovely. We'll bring up both colour wheels together in a moment. But first, I'm going to do some of those little circles like I did before. So let's take our burnt sienna and we'll mix it with this one. And we can take our indigo, a bit more. And our chartreuse, if I can get it in there. Probably hasn't. There we go. Right, so we need a bit of burnt sienna with that one. A bit of indigo with this one. and a bit of chartreuse with this one. Gosh, that comes out quite strong. I'm not sure that that's doing anything. Ooh, maybe I got it wrong. And finally, with our last mix of buff titanium, and a tiny bit of chartreuse. Some of these are quite faint. Right, so these colour mixes are with the final, so with this colour, with this colour, and with this colour. So just gives us another, but we also need to do our stripes around the edge. So let's get our burnt sienna around the edge. Let's get our indigo. And our chartreuse. Wow. Well, I'm going to dry this off and then I'll bring both of them back up. Right, so everything's dry now. So this was my first colour wheel with chartreuse, indigo and burnt sienna. And we've got some lovely dark colours going on here, as well as this gorgeous bright chartreuse. We've got even more mixes that we did. And then with the cobalt teal, the lavender and the buff titanium, we get this, plus these extra ones as well. And if you remember, I just did the other 3 colours from the 6 colour palette around the edge. But I think, yeah, I mean, these two, they don't really fit like that, do they? Let's do it like that instead. I think that between those 2 colour palettes, I mean, we're talking about 6 colours here. And look what we've been able to do. I'm not sure that I'm particularly missing anything, bearing in mind that mostly I do landscapes, sometimes, you know, more sort of urban sketching type stuff, and I think those colours would work beautifully. I guess maybe I'm missing a pink or a red, but you know, with our burnt sienna we get quite a nice orangey colour. So I'm not too disappointed. It's terribly hard coming up with 6 colours that are going to cover you for a number of situations, that's the word I'm looking for, and you know, different places that you might want to use them. So I am actually very pleased with my experiment. It It's a good job too, because I'd already filled my Peganol with those paints and swatched them out. So there we go. One tiny Peganol, well, not the tiniest of the Peganol palettes, but in you go. It's a little bit stiff at the minute. It will ease up as I use it, but yeah, one little palette and all of that. I hope that was interesting for you. Maybe it's something that you will try coming up with limited palettes. I could just use those 3 colours or these 3 colours, and I would still have something that was quite interesting just by using the other 3 as accent colours. So let me know if you have a go and which colours you decide to use. If you watch to the end, and I hope that you do, then please put in the comments wheel, as in colour wheel. And yeah, have a lovely morning, afternoon or evening wherever you are. Stay safe, stay healthy, and always stay calm if you can. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. Please subscribe if you can, so that I can keep putting more videos out. And yeah, hit the like button so that it gets shared out further. That would be really helpful for me if you can. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, everyone.